probably experienced that before. If you had an offer that you wanted to put out there, and before you did any groundwork or laid any foundations, you immediately jumped to trying to make those sales. Now, in some circumstances, this will work. If your audience has been warmed up, if they know who you are, if they understand what you stand for, then we can make conversions in that. But oftentimes, if we jump immediately to the sales strategy, then things aren't going to work out really well. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to examine the differences and similarities between three things. We're going to look at branding, marketing, and sales, and how we need to understand the differences between those three things and how those three things work together. So if you've ever felt like you had to have so many different types of business hats in order to make a conversion, in order to bring in new clients, then I think you're going to like today's discussion, because I think the goal here is to gain some clarity on exactly what are these three things, how do they work together, and what happens when they're not working properly. So, if you are new here, I want to welcome you to the broadcast. And if you've been around and you love attending here on the Wednesdays, I invite you all to say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from today. And we're about to get started. But before we do that, let's play a little bit of music. All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Sara Campbell, and I am a business strategist, marketing, and mindset coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like yourself. And I go live here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about those topics. So today we're going to be talking about business and marketing and, really unwinding this terminology that floats around, because I think that if we can truly dig deep and understand what these terms mean and how they play together, that we are able to create a sales strategy that's much more solid than if we just use one of these things, or if we just jump straight to the sale. So the goal here today is to really get a clear idea of all of these things. Hey there, Deborah's tuning in from Rochester, New York. Nice to see you. So I read a fantastic blog article last week that talked about the differences between these three things, and it compared them in some very interesting ways. And so if you're interested in reading this article, it's a bit lengthy, and it does dive a bit deep. If you are interested in reading this, I have this so you can get a hold of it. Hey there, Sharon is tuning in from Detroit. Nice to see you, Sharon. Okay, so if you would like to get a hold of these, you can drop these words below. So the word 3 keys, and I will make sure that the Savvy Sara bot reaches out to you. For those of you who are on Instagram, if you do want to get a hold of that article, again, just, say 3 keys below, and I'll write down your name and then reach out to you via DM, and we'll get that to you as well. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you look inside of the chat, you'll see that I've dropped a special link there for you. And if you click on that link, you'll be able to get a hold of the article that I've just mentioned, and some other things as well. Because I found this super fascinating, and I thought, you know what, this is a great topic idea. I'm going to maybe make a more simplified version of this today. So again, if you want to dive more in depth into the difference between these three things, grab a hold of that article. It's by, what's the name of it? I just looked, Just Creative, and it's really cool. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to try to summarize some of the points in this article here today, so that we can have a good discussion around how can we build sales strategies that are effective. Because if we jump, I said this at the top of the show, but I'm going to reiterate it. If we jump immediately into the process of trying to make an offer, whether it's if you have open lesson spots, or maybe if you're running summer workshops, or maybe you're a teacher who teaches teachers and you're launching a course. Whatever type of service or product you have, if we jump immediately into trying to make the sale without thinking about the branding and the marketing, then the sales process most often will fall flat. And so that's why we need to look at these other three items in order to have an effective sales strategy. So that's what we're going to be focusing in on today. For those who are watching, if you hear something that is valuable to you and you're like, oh, that was really interesting, that's something that I didn't think of before. Or if you want to put something out into the universe saying, hey, like Sara, I'm totally going to be working on this stuff in the future, give us a hashtag takeaway in the comments and then let us know what that takeaway is. What was the aha moment for you? What was the light bulb? And what are you going to put into practice in your business in the future? I think it's a really powerful way, one, to let those teachers who are watching on the replay know what kind of a discussion we have right from the get-go. And it's a great way for you to set some intentions and put those things out into the universe and say, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do this. All right, so let's get moving forward. So the topic is how branding and marketing and sales work together to create a really good sales strategy. So we're going to start with a little discussion here about, what happens when the trio isn't in sync, right? So I touched on this a little bit, but let's get some more clear examples here. So let's say that you have a summer workshop coming up. I know many of you, it's now March, can't believe it. Many of you are already starting to put out your summer offers. And if you haven't already, I do encourage you, like, now is the time. Don't wait until May. Even April feels a little late. Now is the time to get your summer offers out there so that, especially those, that are for kids in the K through 12 system here. We want those parents to have those dates ahead of time so that they know that they need to set those weeks aside and all of that good stuff. So if you haven't put out your summer offers yet, now is the time to start doing that. All right, I'm off of my soapbox. So for those of you who are summering, you know what to do. Okay, so let's take this as an example. You have a summer workshop that you want to put out into the universe, and your strategy basically consists of reaching out to people and telling them this is happening, right? And immediately asking them to enroll their kid. Now, this can be effective if your audience knows you well, right? So if you're putting this out to your current clients that have been with you for a while, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I totally trust Miss Sara, and we know that the experience that she's going to create for this summer workshop is going to be great. But if it's going out to people who don't know you and haven't had the pleasure of meeting with you or working with you, then there's a lot more that needs to happen before we jump straight to the sale, right? So this is where we need to really understand how these three things work together, how they play together, and how, if we don't have one, but we have the other two, we're not going to have an effective sales strategy. So let's dive into these terms and define them. For those who are tuning in, I want to invite you, if you have a teacher friend who could benefit from joining in on this conversation, maybe you have a colleague, especially if those of you who are multi-teacher studios, if you have a colleague who you're like, hey, so-and-so, come listen to this right now or watch it on the replay, let them know right now below, and invite them to join us. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens when, that we know what happens when the trio isn't in sync. Things are just not going to go very well and they might fall flat. I will say that I have been in that position, right? I've been in that position where I'm putting out an offer and I didn't really think about the branding of it. I didn't really think about the marketing of it. And then when I went straight to the sales process, it was crickets, right? Cheep, cheep, cheep. Those are more like baby chicks, but whatever, cricket sounds. So if you have been in that circumstance, right, I want you to let us know you're not alone. I've been there multiple times, and it's disappointing when you've worked hard on something that you think is going to be great, you put it out into the universe, and then you don't get any feedback. And so this can be something that is, kind of soul crushing a little bit, because you think, oh my gosh, well, maybe this wasn't a good idea. That's not necessarily the case. So that's why we need to understand these three terms. So let's just for a moment, like, you guys have heard me talking about branding a lot lately. So I know, I get it. But we're just going to define this term like in a nutshell. So branding essentially is how we shape the image and perception of our business, of our company, in the minds of our clients. And that could be current clients, that could be potential clients. Branding is how we communicate, what it is that we stand for, right? It's really about communicating our why. Why do you do what you do? What is it that makes your business unique in that why? So branding is important because it allows us to really communicate, what sets us apart, what is important to our business, and how we can help people. And being able to communicate that, is a really essential part of the sales process, because it's really going to allow people to connect with us. It's going to allow people to get an idea of what we truly stand for, and give them information about why they might want to work with us. So when it comes to like what is branding in terms of like actions, what do you have to do, right? A lot of that is going to be internal facing. It's going to be about like making sure that you understand what are your business values, what are your mission statements, what are your brand promises, and being able to communicate that in a clear way. So that's the first step, right? When we have something like this in place, then it becomes easier to make the sale, because we're able to communicate what makes us different, why we do what we do, and why other people might want to come and do that with us too. So that's a key element. Another element that's really important to understand is like, what is marketing? What is marketing, right? We think of marketing as a term that's often confused with sales, that we think that marketing is advertising and advertising is marketing. Well, this is partially true. There are, some crossovers between these two terms, but generally speaking, they're different. And so if we were to define marketing in the scope of the discussion that we have today, marketing, we're going to define this as the activities that that build awareness of a service or a product. So this is going to be something that feels a bit more actionable on a daily basis, right? It's going to be the posts that you're making on social media. It's going to be the emails that you're sending to clients. It's going to be the flyers that you create and post in the Dairy Queen. It's going to be a lot. It's going to take a lot of different shapes. There's so many different styles of marketing that we can lean into. Now, here's the difference though. Marketing is not advertising and it's not sales, right? Marketing is about building the awareness of things. And I think this is another key element where if you are jumping straight into making the offer and straight into making the sale, things can fall flat, right? If we don't have that marketing foundation where we have built awareness about the offer, then people aren't going to pay attention. And, something else to consider, when we're trying to make the sale, if all we're doing is putting out posts that are like, buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this thing, please buy this thing, people tune us out. People tune us out quickly, especially if they don't understand what your business is about, why you do what you do, and they don't really have a clear idea about what the offer is. So this is why marketing is this like bridge between doing the branding and being able to communicate what you do, like who you are as a business, why you do the things that you do, and then wanting people to purchase things. So we've got to have this marketing middle, right? If it were an Oreo, it would be the icing, right? But really, it's not necessarily, if I'm looking at the relationship between these three things, it's not a cookie. It's more like a wheel. right? And these things kind of feed into each other. And sometimes it's not necessarily going in a circular motion. Sometimes it's going across in spokes, because sales and branding have a lot of things in common. Marketing and branding have a lot of things in common. Marketing and sales have a lot of things in common. Like, they all relate to one another. But if we don't have a clear understanding of what each thing is, then the sales strategy becomes cumbersome and difficult. So, marketing is the actionable things that you are doing, right, to build that awareness of the product or the service. And when we combine that act of marketing, right, with being able to communicate the brand, then it's way more effective than if it were just marketing alone. So let me give a clear example of this. So to say that we're coming back to the idea of summer camps today, because so many of you, that's, summer's on the brain. I just have spring on the brain. I just want it to be warm outside. Is it warm where you are? If it's warm where you are, please tell me. Tell me how much you are enjoying how warm it is outside, because we're not quite there yet in Western PA. Okay, sidetracked. Back to the discussion here with those summer camps. Some examples of, putting out marketing about it would, there's the cat. The Instagram people saw him. I don't know if you guys saw him over here. Did you guys see Bjorn? All right. If we are putting out just pure marketing that's building awareness, but it doesn't actually have information about the brand, the marketing is going to be kind of dry. So it might just have like information about what it is, when it is, yada, yada, right? But then if we combine that with our branding, right, and we're able to communicate who we are, like the values that we hold, and we're able to really tap into like, what is it that your child is going to experience in this unique thing that we've created, then we have a much more powerful type of marketing. So this is why you've got to know what you stand for. You've got to know, like, what is it that makes your studio unique, because there are so many, like, coming back to the summer thing, there's so many different summer activities for people to participate in, but you need to be able to communicate why somebody would want to pick yours over somebody else's, right? And if you're communicating that to the right kind of people and you're communicating it effectively, then that's going to work really well. Hey there, Deborah. I see she says it's 35 and sunny. Hooray. And Laura has just reminded us that we can drop 3 keys down below if you want to get a hold of the article that inspired this conversation today, and also the show notes from today as well. So next point here, what are sales, right? Or what is sales? It doesn't seem like the right English. But when we're talking about sales, right? Sales is the act of actually trying to convert a lead into a sale. So if you've got somebody who's interested in something and they say, like, you ask a question like, who wants to do this? And they raise their hand and they go, yeah, I want to do this. The next step is to take them through the sales process and to convert that sale. That is what sales is. It's not all that other stuff prior to it, right? So sales isn't even about getting the leads. That's what marketing is for. Marketing is to get people interested, to build awareness things, and to generate leads. Then we move into the sales process, and that's where we're going to convert those leads. So inside of the sales process, there's all kinds of things to consider. We need to think about, like, can we make this easy for someone? If they have to jump through a lot of hoops and it's kind of difficult for them to purchase something, that, could be an objection to them actually finishing the sale. So we want to make it easy for people to purchase. We want to make the process very clear for them so that they know, like, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, etc. Right? And if we don't do those things, again, the conversion might suffer. So we've looked at these 3 things here, and then we're going to summarize, like, how they all work together. Hey there, Karen says she just got here. She will watch the entire thing later. Thank goodness for replays, right? For those of you who are watching on the replay, just a reminder, to those future people, I love to come back and have conversations with you. So just jump in the comments and have a conversation. I see that Karen says it's a high of 81 degrees here in Lake, St. Lake. I can't say that. St. Lake, St. Louis, Missouri today. Hey there, Marie. Nice to see you. She says loves the sales steps. Thank you so much. Okay, so how do these three things work together? And this is where I want to really lean into some interesting things here. So give me a moment here. Okay, so I love this. These three concepts often find themselves like totally lumped together, right? Because the end goal is the same for all of these things, right? Branding, marketing, and sales, the end goal is the same. The end goal is to bring in more customers and generate revenue. Makes sense, right? However, each one of these things has like very different characteristics and very different processes. So this is why it's important to understand the difference between them. So for instance, okay, branding is different from marketing because they produce different outcomes. So branding is like the what, the why, right? Its aim is to create something that people will remember. Whereas marketing is concerned with like the how, and it's promoting that brand awareness. It's putting those things out into email, into social media, into online listings, on your blog, all of that stuff. It's the actionable things. So then again, let's look at another way that these things work together. So marketing and sales are far from the same. They have different scopes. We've said this before, but let me put it all together here. So marketing will probably target a much wider audience, right? Because you're building awareness to a service or a product, whereas sales is going to go down to specific people. So marketing is about capturing the leads, whereas sales is about converting the leads into customers. All of these things together, right? All of these things together, when we can unite them, we can understand the difference between them. We can build out a sales strategy that makes sense. So the sales strategy that we want to be able to create is thinking about, okay, what is my brand? What do I stand for? What makes this studio unique? Then we move into what is the marketing of a specific product or service, right? We think about how am I going to get this out in front of people? How am I going to communicate what makes this particular offer unique? How am I going to communicate what are the benefits of this offer to someone, and just build awareness around that? Then we want to move into the offer part, right? The sales part. How are we going to move people to take action? So if we can really get a clear idea of those three things, then when we're making our plans, right? When we're making our plans to put out that information about summer camps, we can start building good timelines. We can start thinking about, okay, this is when I'm going to craft all of this information. We're going to figure out all the when, the what, the way, the how, all that stuff. This is when I'm going to start marketing it, building awareness. Maybe that marketing starts with putting out information about the camps that you've had in the past, having some good throwback Thursdays and looking at all the cool pictures that happened last year or the year before because pandemic and summer camps probably didn't happen. And we're going to think about like, how do we start really leaning into telling people how great this is? And then we need to move into like, what is the sales process going to look like? What are the deadlines going to be like? What are those final pushes going to be like? So when we put all of those things together, it allows us to build out a strategy to make the actual sale, as opposed to just throwing stuff out there and hoping that it sticks. All right, we're going to do I hope that you all have found this useful. I know it's a really deep topic today. And next week, we're going to lighten things up a little bit. I do want to remind everyone who is listening in that Branding Bootcamp starts officially on Friday. We have our very first class. We have already gotten started inside of our group. We have 9 amazing teachers who are jumping into our Get to Know You sections, and they just received their first workbooks that we're going to be looking at on Friday. There are 3 spots left. If you are interested in learning how to build an amazing brand so that your marketing becomes easier and so that you know how to ask for the sale, then I invite you to join us. Put a branding boot camp down below and I will reach out privately to you. We have 3 spots left. This will not be open again until October of 2022. So if you are interested in branding your business so that you can start bringing in more qualified clients and working with the people that you really love the most, now is the time. Okay, that's my little soapbox and we're off of that. All right, let's do a rapid recap here today. I see that Marie says, I used to throw things out to see what resonated with my market. Karen says she'd love to do a summer camp for parents. Ooh, what a fun idea. Okay, so let's do a rapid recap. Here we go. It is really tempting when you have an offer to go out there and just immediately try to sell something, right? But if we're jumping straight into sales, then it might not work out unless your audience is warmed up. So we're looking at branding, marketing, and sales and how these 3 things work together to make a really good sales strategy. Okay, so what happens if the trio isn't in sync? If the trio isn't in sync, and you don't have those 3 elements together, then when you do put the offer out there, people may not respond because they don't get they don't have a clear understanding about what it is that your business stands for, why you do what you do and how you help people. And they don't have all the information that they need about why this service or product is so incredibly cool. So in a nutshell, what is branding? Branding is building and shaping the image of a company, the perception of your company in the minds of your current and potential clients. So we want to be able to communicate the whys and all of this good stuff that makes you unique. And then we move into, okay, what is marketing? Hey there, Bjorn. What is marketing? Well, marketing is the act of building those products and service awareness for people. So if you have those summer camps and you're putting out the information about them, it's not necessarily trying to make the sale, but it's telling people about why this was so cool, why it was so important, how it changed the lives of these students, right? That's marketing. It's the actionable things. It's the things that we put out on our socials, in our email, on our website, in the flyers that you put in Dairy Queen, all of that good stuff. That's your marketing. And then the sales. What are the sales? Quick. I forgot. Marketing, the goal of that is to build awareness, but also to generate leads and to get people interested in saying yes. Then we move into what are sales? What is sales? Sales is making the conversion. It's taking those leads and converting them into paying customers, right? So it's not just putting the offer out there, it's helping those clients take the first step and getting them enrolled and all of that good stuff, right? So those 3 things are really important to understand, because if we can work them together, right? If we can put those 3 things together and we're able to communicate why we do what we do, what makes our studio unique, what makes our offerings unique, how our offerings and our services and our products improve the lives of our clients through our marketing, if we're able to do all of those, then making the sale becomes easier because you've built an effective sales strategy. Now, if you'd like more information about this, if you put the words 3 keys down below, then the Savvy Sara bot will reach out to you and she will be able to give you some cool things. She's going to send you a blog article that goes into a much more detailed discussion about these 3 things and what these 3 things are, how they play with one another, and what the differences and similarities are. It's a really fascinating read. She'll give you a hold of that, and she'll give you the short show notes from today. For those who are watching on YouTube, look in the notes down below and click on that link, and you will be able to get a hold of that. Let me grab that for you real quick. And if you are on Instagram and you're interested in getting a hold of that, make sure to comment below and I will DM you with the link that you can use to get a hold of that. All right. Thank you so much for being here for this discussion. I really appreciate you all. I will be back next week with with more information on, business strategies, marketing, and mindset for you. And in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing teacher and there's no one in the world quite like you. And I think that you are pretty dang awesome. Thanks for being here, everyone. We will see you next time.